From the world of Yellowstone comes a new frontier, where the law is just a whisper, and the desert wind carries the sound of gunfire. This is Rio Palo, a town where every handshake could hide a knife, and every sunset could be your last. Yellowstone showed us the fight for land, family, and power in the wide-open spaces of Montana. We saw the Duttons battle enemies in suits and in saddles, and we learned one truth. In the West, the land isn't just dirt. It's life itself, but Rio Palo takes that battle somewhere even more dangerous. The year is 1892, far south from the green valleys of Yellowstone lies a place where the dust never settles, where the rivers run low, and the nights are as dangerous as the days. Rio Palo is a border town, pressed between the edge of the United States and the deep reaches of Mexico. Here, the rules are different. Gold and cattle are worth killing for. Water is worth dying for, and trust, well, trust doesn't last longer than the echo of a gunshot. From the same creators who brought the Yellowstone world to life, Rio Palo isn't just another spin-off. It's a story carved out of grit and survival. While Yellowstone gave us the fight to keep a ranch, Rio Palo shows us the fight to keep a heartbeat. The wide Montana skies have been replaced by scorching desert heat. The green fields have turned into dry, cracked earth. And the quiet beauty is always hiding a deadly silence. But make no mistake, Rio Palo is tied to the Yellowstone legacy. Whispers speak of a man who once rode with the Dutton family, a man who left Montana years ago with blood on his hands and enemies at his back. Now, that man is in Rio Palo, and his past has followed him like a shadow. Fans will be watching closely, looking for clues in the trailer, wondering if this new story will finally reveal what happened to him, and what debts he still has to pay. The trailer's opening moments hit like a hammer. A dusty street, a lone rider coming into town. The wind howls, pulling at the faded flag above the sheriff's office. You hear the creak of leather, the slow jingle of spurs, and then a voice, low, steady, dangerous. It's not a promise. It's a warning. Rio Palo isn't a place for heroes. It's a place where the only law that matters is who's fastest to draw. The first time you see Rio Palo, it doesn't feel like a town. It feels like a wound. The earth here is red, cracked, and dry, the kind of dry that gets in your lungs and stays there. The buildings lean with age. Their wood faded to the color of old bones. There's no welcome sign, no flowers in windows, no fresh paint. Just the quiet hum of heat, the restless shuffle of horses, and the kind of stillness that makes you keep your hand near your gun. At dawn, the sun doesn't rise gently here. It slams down over the desert, spilling light that burns your eyes. Before it warms your skin, shadows stretch long and thin across the street, making the ground look like it's split in two. Dust drifts lazily in the air, turning the horizon into a haze where anything could be hiding. Somewhere in the distance, a church bell rings, slow, uneven, like the man ringing it has more on his mind than time. The heart of Rio Palo is its main street, a narrow stretch lined with a saloon, a blacksmith, a feed store, and a sheriff's office that looks like it's been shot at more times than it's been repaired. A single well sits in the center, surrounded by a circle of cracked stone. People pass it without looking up, drawing water with the same caution you'd use to pick a lock. In Rio Palo, every glance, every word, every small movement is measured. You can tell who belongs here and who doesn't in less than a second. The locals walk with their heads down, but their eyes sharp, always watching, always listening. Outsiders either move too fast, trying to prove they're not afraid, or too slow, trying to drink it all in. Either way, the town notices. Rio Palo notices. At night, it's worse. The desert heat drops fast, replaced by a biting cold that makes the air sting in your chest. The lamps in the saloon glow soft and golden, but the alleys between buildings are black as tar. A few drunk laughs spill out onto the street, but they fade quick, swallowed by the quiet. That's when you hear the sounds boots on wood, Window creaking open, the snap of a match in the dark. You never see the faces, you only hear them. And by morning, the dust has covered whatever happened. Asterisk the trailer for Rio Palo gives us all of this without a single line of dialogue for the first minute. Just images, wide shots of the desert, close-ups of calloused hands, boots stepping, down from a horse, the slow swing of a lantern in the dark. Then, just when you've settled into the silence, there's a flash. A pistol being cocked, a man's silhouette against the orange blaze of a burning barn. And over it all, a voice you can't quite place says, asterisk you don't come to Rio Palo to start over. You come here because you've got nowhere else left to go. Asterisk in that one line, the whole world of the show comes into focus. This isn't a place where you chase dreams. It's where you run from nightmares. And for fans of Yellowstone, it's a promise that Rio Palo is going to take everything you love about the original series and strip it down to its rawest, most dangerous form. Asterisk in Rio Palo, there's no single hero riding in to save the day. There are only survivors, and the ones who aren't fast enough to become one. The trailer makes that clear from the very first confrontation it shows. Asteriska. Wide shot of the desert fades in, the sky an unbroken wall of deep orange. A rider appears on the horizon, his horse kicking up trails of dust that twist like smoke in the heat. As he draws closer, you see the glint of metal, not a badge, but a rifle slung low. Then the scene cuts to black. All you hear is the faint sound of spurs. Asterisk, this is the heartbeat of Rio Palo's story, the fight for a stretch of land that's more than just dirt. It's the only source of water for miles, a small river winding through a valley of mesquite and stone. Whoever controls the water controls the town. And right now, that control is slipping. Asterisk the trailer teases three main players in the struggle. The first is a weathered rancher, his hands scarred from years of work, his eyes sharp enough to see trouble before it arrives. The second is the sheriff, or what passes for one. He's not elected, not respected, but feared. And the third is a woman who runs the saloon, her smile hiding secrets, her loyalty belonging to no one but herself. Between them, alliances are built and broken in the span of a single scene. Asterisk, we see quick flashes of violence, the rancher's barn set ablaze under a moonlit sky, the sheriff kicking in a door while a terrified family huddles in the corner. The saloon woman sliding a glass across the bar while slipping a note into a stranger's hand. In between, there are moments of uneasy quiet, a child watching from behind a fence, a knife carving initials into the wood of a table, a shadow moving across a second-story window. Asterisk, and then there's the stranger. He's only shown in pieces. A gloved hand gripping the brim of his hat, boots coated in desert dust, a revolver with an engraving that catches the light. Every time his image appears, the music slows, the air feels heavier. You know he's dangerous, but the trailer won't tell you why. Instead, it leaves you with a single line from him. Asterisk, you think the desert kills you quick. It don't. It waits. It makes you big. Asterisk, it's in that moment that Rio Palo feels different from Yellowstone. Yellowstone was about holding on to what you had. Rio Palo is about clawing your way to something you might never keep, because the second you let go, someone else will take it, and they'll make you regret you ever wanted it in the first place. Asterisk, by the time the trailer ends this sequence, you've seen enough to know the plot is a powder keg, the land is the fuse, and every character is holding a match. Asterisk, Rio Palo doesn't just look different from Yellowstone, it feels different. Where Yellowstone's Montana landscapes breathed with green and gold, Rio Palo's world is baked in reds, browns, and the silver shimmer of heat on the horizon. The cinematography in the trailer is almost cruel in how it lingers on the desert, not as a backdrop, but as a living force. Every frame seems to remind you that this land doesn't care if you live or die. Asterisk, the style is stripped to the bone. Long, silent takes where a bead of sweat rolls down a man's cheek before he speaks. Extreme close-ups of hands shaking as they load bullets, tightening rope, or passing coins across a table. Shots where you hear boots before you see who's wearing them. there's no rush here. The pace is deliberate, like the show is daring you to get comfortable before it pulls the trigger. Asterisk and the themes, they cut deeper than the dust and the blood. At its core, Rio Palo is about survival, not in the grand, noble sense, but in the small, ugly moments when you have to decide who goes thirsty and who gets a drink. It's about loyalty, but only as far as it serves your next move. It's about justice, but only if you're the one holding the gun when the law comes calling. The trailer makes it clear that everyone in Rio Palo is both a victim and a predator. The sheriff may enforce order, but only for those who can pay. The saloon may be a refuge, but only if you bring something worth trading. The rancher may fight for his land, but not without cutting deals that would make a preacher choke. And the stranger. He's the walking question no one wants to answer. What did he do before he got here? And how many graves mark his trail? Asterisk the sound design in the trailer leans into this unease. There's no sweeping orchestral score. Instead, you get the slow groan of wood in the wind, the dry rattle of spurs, the deep thud of hooves in hard earth. When music does hit, it's low and heavy, more like a warning than a melody. Asterisk the final moments of the style reel in the trailer seal its identity. A slow-motion shot of a gun being drawn. A woman's hand brushing the edge of a scar on her neck. A crow circling overhead. And then a voice, the same stranger from before saying, asterisk the desert takes what it wants. And it's been looking at you. Asterisk that's Rio Palo's promise. This is not just another Western. This is a story where the land itself is an enemy, where every choice is a gamble, and where no one rides away clean. It's the Yellowstone world turned inside out, stripped of its beauty, stripped of its safety, leaving nothing but raw survival. The trailer doesn't just tell a story, it sets a date for when the world of Rio Palo will open its gates. And let the dust choke you. Right after that final, haunting line from the stranger, the screen cuts to black. Then, in bold, weathered letters, the title burns into view. Asterisk Rio Palo asterisk from the creators of Yellowstone asterisk the sound of wine carries under the words. Low and restless, almost like it's breathing. Then the numbers appear, stark and uncheckable. 2026. No month, no day, just the year. Like a warning carved into stone. Asterisk a brief flash shows where the fight will be seen. The Paramount Network logo fades in, followed by the streaming symbol for Paramount Plus. No voiceover here, no excess. Just the bare truth. The only way into Rio Palo is through them. Asterisk, but the trailer isn't done. As the year fades, the screen stays black. You hear the crunch of boots on gravel, slow and steady. A revolver is being spun, the sound of the cylinder. Clicking into place is sharp, almost metallic enough to sting your ears. Then, a pause, silence, asterisk a single gunshot tears through it, asterisk the screen stays black for just a breath too long. And then, in the faintest, dust-choked whisper, you hear, asterisk, if you come here. You'd better be ready to leave a piece of yourself behind. Asterisk the screen cuts completely, leaving nothing but the echo of that gunshot hanging in the air. Asterisk that's the hook, that's the bait. The trailer gives you no answers, only a date, a name, and the promise that whatever happens in Rio Palo, it's going to be carved into your memory like a brand. Asterisk and for fans of Yellowstone, it's a dare. Asterisk.